Sorry, we've had a little bit of some technical issues going on. We're just going to try and go ahead in a little bit different way. So I apologize for the delay. I'm ready to take the roll if.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, Member Bishop?
Here.
Member Twitchell?
Here.
Member Sorensen?
Here.
Co-Chair Purrier?
Here.
And Co-Chair Renner?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Next up is consideration of the February 27th. Wow. Meeting notes from the SEC. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, comments?
Do I remember what I was doing?
I do. I was given credit for making an update for the Lake Bluff Garden Club, which I did not do because I don't know much about Lake Bluff, but I did provide an update from the Lake Forest Garden Club regarding the recycling grant to the city of Lake Forest to try to reduce contamination of the recycling stream from residential properties.
Okay, so noted. We can update those meeting minutes, Glenn. If so, can I get a motion to approve with the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call. We lost you again.
Glenn, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
How about now?
Perfect.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, we've had a great number of technical issues tonight, but just so you all know, since we're meeting virtually, there are a few requirements under the Open Meetings Act. One is that even our routinely voice votes will need to be done by roll call. So with that said, Member Sorensen.
Aye, yes.
Member Bishop.
Yes.
Member Twitchell.
Yes.
Co-Chair Renner.
Yes.
And Co-Chair Purrier.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. Next up is non-agenda items for anyone online tonight, either on Zoom per the Q&A or previously submitted questions, or anyone on the phone who uses the #9 format. Did I get that right, Glenn?
Correct, sir.
If there's anyone who wishes to submit a question, we can take it now or discussion. I'm not sure there is anyone, but we'll wait a second.
Does not appear to be.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the general business. Glenn, you want to take it from here?
Certainly. So there is just one item of business tonight, and before I get into it, just by way of a note and as a reminder, the school district will have to take over our physical meeting space here at Village Hall at 7 o'clock. So we are on a little bit of a constrained timeline. I'm sure we have enough time to take care of our business. With that said, our one item of business tonight is a backyard chicken application for 463 Green Bay Road. This is the applicant is Miss Amy Lucas. So these chickens actually, interestingly enough, are already present and living at this property. We think that this was unintentional. We were notified about it by a neighbor, and so we asked Miss Lucas to make an application and to come before this body. I will say we have had, I believe, 1 or 2 now applications during COVID-19 where the stars didn't align to have a meeting of this group. We did ask the village board and have a way to approve those administratively. So those are added to the roster. But in this case, this group will be able to review this one personally. So as always with our reviews, a copy of the application has been provided in your packet, as well as a copy of the criteria that you are to consider when making these reviews and making a recommendation. Finally, of course, there is some correspondence from two neighboring property owners is there as well in the packet for you to consider. With that said, I know the applicant, Ms. Lucas, is on the call, and we'll give her a chance to talk a little bit to you, and we can go from there. Ms. Lucas, if you will unmute, and you can send video if you like, you are able to talk.
Trying to figure out my phone here. Yeah, do you ask questions first, or do I just, what do you want me to, do I need to like talk, what do I need to talk about? I don't know.
Yeah, if you just want to give us a little bit of background, I suppose, you know, how
Okay.
long you've been doing it, and it looks like you're about to give us some show and tell too, so that's neat.
I am outside because my dog wanted to come out and play at the same time. I had, we got the chickens just right, like, yes, during the pandemic when we couldn't go to the store and get eggs. And we kind of hit that whole panic mode because I have a family of 6 and we were just, you know, concerned about like how everybody was, I don't know. I had some friends that were talking like it was like the apocalypse. So I started to go into that whole mode of what can I do to help sustain our family, you know, with food if something did happen where we couldn't get food. So I planted a, you know, nice big garden, and then we got the chickens, and it was kind of like a time for, because my 2 younger kids were home, you know, home from school, and we just kind of like thought it would be a great time for them to help raise these chickens, and because we got them as babies. And then, and I was speaking to a neighbor down the road, and they said they had chickens, and I'm not going to name names, but they didn't have a permit. So I thought, well, okay. So he said, just follow the guidelines on the thing, on the website. So I followed the guidelines about, you know, making sure the coop was predator free. Was kept predators out. And we had a pen already out there because I had a rabbit when we first moved into this house. So I had made an outdoor pen for the rabbit. So it was just all like kind of just fell into place for the chickens to be able to go in the pen. And I put a top on it because I didn't want anything to get into the chickens. I don't know what else.
You have eggs yet?
No, because they're not going to have eggs until November. They were like I think we got them in May. And so they were just a day old when we got them. So my kids were all formed an attachment to all of them because we still know all their names, which is surprising because they change their looks as they grow. So, but no, we should be able to get eggs in November if the calculations are correct. But yeah, and we also had like when we lived in Michigan when my older kids were younger, and we had chickens there, and my husband grew up on a farm, so we kind of knew like what to expect with chickens and what to do to take care of them already. So
How many do you have?
there's 5 chickens because I thought they said my neighbor down the road told me that a lot of times one dies when they are transported. So I thought I'd end up with just 4, but I still have 5.
I understand that. And how does the dog interact with the chickens?
They're fine because I'm surprised they're fine actually because they're because my brother has my brother lives out in the country in Michigan and he has chickens, and but now that we have them here, they've gotten used to them, so he will just go over and look at them, and then the only time if I go in the pen to clean it out, then he gets jealous and he'll bark at me, but that's just for a second because then I just have to tell him to stop, and then but he doesn't ever go, he can't get in the pen. I made it very solid. So
Amy, were you going to give us a tour? I didn't know if you're in your backyard with your camera.
you want to see, I'm kind of proud. This chicken coop probably doesn't look as good as I'm just proud of it because I built it myself. So hold on, let me see if I can reverse even if I can't here. So the pen is the coop is in there. And then I built it with the wire around the outside, and I have the stakes that you put on the ground. And then I had to come up with a way to put a top on it. So I built this top, the frames, and I have the chicken wire on it. And then around the outside, I have some more wire that will just keep it from anything from climbing over the fence into it. And then I had my door that I painted to make the door. And they
Nice.
have their pouches. And then I have their water and food hanging up inside their little pen. And they have an extra pen inside there just to keep them extra safe. And you can see them in there. I mean, I don't know if you can because I don't have them U-turned, but they're just sitting in there perched, and they're pretty quiet actually. But I don't know if I went researched like which ones were the best for the backyard in urban areas. So.
And what did you get? You got the Wyandotte?
Yeah, well, I know the two are those the rock. What do they call those? Because there were two different kinds. The black and white ones are those
Wyandotte.
yeah, and they're from like the out east, like the Rhode Island, or yeah, because they're not the Rhode Island Reds. And the three brown ones are not. I don't think those are Rhode Island Reds. I thought they were at first, but I looked up where I got them from, and they don't. I don't even think they have Rhode Island Reds unless they're called something else on top, besides that. But there's three brown and two black and white. And the one, not to like go into detail, but the one black and white one, we had to like clean it when it came. So it is so friendly. My kids called it Thing 1 and called them Thing 1 and Thing 2, but it's the one that will come right up to you and it wants to be petted when you go in the cage. That one and the other one of the brown ones. Not that you want to hear all that information, but.
No, it's good.
For the recording, can you summarize your neighbors' viewpoints or comments?
Yeah, they were concerned that because our yards all hold water, but we had to, last year, we spent quite a bit of money. We spent about $17,000 to redo our yard so that it all flows down into this drain. And so it flows into this drain here underneath sorry, my yard's kind of messy with leaves, underneath this trampoline right now. And his yard level is, not to get into that detail either, but they put up a privacy fence, and then kind of ever since the privacy fence went up, like if you look, their yard kind of just drops off into our yard. So our yard at one point 2 years ago in October, or a year ago, no, it was 2, it held water for all through the winter and through the spring until the water level went down the yard. So he actually he put a pump in his yard, and so our yard connects to his pump, but it all goes underground and then flows out underground. And he was given permission to pump it out to the outside sewer.
How often would you say that you clean the pens?
I clean it once a week because I'm very sensitive to smells, and so I myself don't want to have any. And I can, if I like, even when I have my rabbit out here, if I had any smell from that, because I sit out here all the time, and so, but once a week seems to do the trick. So, and then I just go ahead.
I was just going to say, really the pens don't need that much cleaning.
Oh, okay.
No, you can do it as often as you want.
Yeah.
But they don't really require that much cleaning.
Oh, well, that would save me on the stuff, the bedding. But yeah, if as soon as I start to, and I wouldn't want anybody to, if anybody else around me has a sensitivity to smells, I wouldn't want them to feel uncomfortable either. I know, I think there was and that was I think the biggest issue, because they were worried that the water would flow through the pen and carry all the different like salmonella, and I don't know what else they named off, but like my husband said, you have a bigger risk of getting salmonella from raw kitchen on your counter than from chicken poop, unless you eat the chicken poop, or if they're playing in the chicken pen. And I would think their kids wouldn't be playing in the water that's drainage water. So
Okay.
I think the drainage issues at this point have been resolved, and I know if you've got a dog, we've all gone through some seasonal flooding. I've had a dog.
right.
there's water you don't really want to spend too much time in. So you think it's,
Right.
yeah.
It has this year, but we have to, like, that's what my husband and I said, like, I wouldn't want the chickens to be in an unsafe situation either, because chickens will drown in any little bit of water because they're not very, so I wouldn't, I mean, I put it in a place where I feel like the water doesn't reach it. And I set up my yard this year so that when it flows through my neighbor's yard, it flows through a certain area of my yard, because I'm trying to keep the mud down in my yard too. And so we kind of like, she set hers up so it could flow through this. I just wanted to make like a little river path through my yard instead of flowing through my entire yard. And we had one issue in the spring because the neighbor behind me he said he had to drop the pump a little bit lower because we all had standing water for a little while, but as soon as he dropped that pump, we haven't had any issues since. Now, I don't know if it's because the water level's down, like the groundwater level's down, or if we've finally fixed the problem. But
When you had the rabbits, was flooding at all an issue with the rabbits?
no, it wasn't actually. So, and we kind of like make sure that we have stuff around the outside of the pen so it keeps it from being, so it keeps the water out of the pen.
Okay.
That's what I was going to.
Let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you have anything in the back of your pen that would hold, keep the water from flowing into the neighbor's yard?
Yeah, and when the rabbits were in there, we have that little pen inside there too, and so I could put them inside the little pen, and so the other part of it might have had a little bit of water in it, but my husband was talking about getting some like little sandbags or something to put around the edge. I mean, he's so handy, he would figure out something, but we want to see what happens, like just to see how the water's flowing, because we haven't really gotten we only had it in the spring, and we were able to redirect it to go, I don't know if I can show you, but so we have, I just feel like my yard is a mess, but we have like the neighbor here, it comes out and then it kind of flows down this little area, and then it hits a little bit of this over here. Can you see by the tree? And then it flows into the pump into the drain over there. So we've tried to like set it up so, because my dogs were coming in filthy, and it was not fun. So we were trying to set it up so that we kind of eliminated all of that for ourselves.
Glenn, have you had a chance to visit this enclosure?
I have not yet. So typically that would be the last step. Usually I may even bring a permit with me to hand over after the inspection, but that's would be after your meeting here. I've gone by to look around that property and some other ones, but not in the backyard or anything like that.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Not that I have.
Okay.
I wondered if you had spoken to your neighbors at all recently to see if you could agree on a certain way to have your sandbags or something that would make them feel comfortable.
Well, and that was what upset my husband so much, is that we worked really hard with this neighbor behind us to make sure our yards were all draining, and he was the one that told my husband, if we ever have any issues, let's work them out together. Let's not go behind each other's backs. Let's figure it out, because we can resolve any issue. And he knew we were getting the chickens because we had said something to him. And that was way, back before we even got them. We had mentioned it. And he was, so he knew that we were planning to do that. And I wish he would have said something even then and said, hey, this isn't, like, I feel uncomfortable about this. But we invested a lot in them because I didn't realize that they were going to be opposed. So, and then I know that they made a comment about our dogs, and I was like, I think that sorry, I tripped a little bit. That upset me the most, because I love my animals, and so they had said something about us not being responsible animal owners. So, and I don't know what I don't know what the dogs had to do with the chickens, because my dog is just 2 years old and he's not too bad, I don't think.
And I had one other question, and that is, since you moved into town and you didn't know, I wondered, what could the village do for people that move in? How could the village better give you the information that you need so that you don't get into this, so people in your position now don't have this happen to them?
Well, I think it was just like and I think it was more of a miscommunication with another neighbor that has chickens and doesn't have a permit. And so that was kind of where it all started. So if I had not spoken to that neighbor and found out that, because I said, what do you have to do to get chickens? And he said, just follow the guidelines on the thing. And I didn't really I think I just cursory read it, just to make sure I was building my pen the right way or making sure my pen was secure that I had, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I think pending Glenn's final review, would we like to entertain a motion to approve the application? Again, pending Glenn's final review.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Okay.
we did have someone join by phone right around the start of this. I'm not sure if they were here to comment on this
Okay.
item or not. So
Okay.
if they would like to, all you need to do is dial *9, *9, and we can let you speak, or we can keep on going. All right, you are on the line. You can.
Hi, I'm
name.
I'm Amy's husband, Joe. I'm sorry, I was listening to the whole meeting, but I'm driving and I didn't have a way to figure out how to get in so I could speak. But I really don't have a lot else to say. I mean, I think that, we personally take things like this very seriously. I grew up on a farm. I mean, I understand how to take care of animals. We know how to keep things clean. I mean, we've really resolved the water issue unless we have like a major storm. And again, like I told my wife, if it makes everyone feel better, I will, build a barrier a foot high around the chicken pen just to ensure that water can't get in there other than rainfall. I'll do whatever it takes. I want to make this work. I just don't, you can't always get along with everyone all the time, which it happens in neighborhoods. But I feel that we need to be given a fair chance because we are new to the area, and it hasn't been the best experience for us moving from living in Lake Forest for a few years. We really thought it was going to be more friendly, and then it has been. But at the same time, we like it here. We want to stay here. And we want to find a way to, bury the hatchet and move on. And we've done that with other neighbors over other issues. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. And, if it is, it's going to be for a different reason other than a concern with what the chickens might cause.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, do we have someone who'd like to make a motion?
I'll motion that we approve the chicken coop.
Okay, do we have a second?
I said second.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
All right,
sorry, I wasn't able to hear the motion. Was it made with any contingency that they do put a barrier around the coop?
What I said was I suggest that, or I mentioned that we approve the chicken coop after we have a physical look at it.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to put the physical barrier in there right away. I mean, it sounds like they've addressed drainage issues, so I'm all for them having more opportunity for, oh geez.
Whoops.
Glad to know I'm not the only one with technical issues
Yeah.
tonight.
Marina. She's gone.
She's muted again.
Oh,
Did we lose her?
We have for the moment. Perhaps she will join us right back.
Okay, let's pause this. I'd like to make sure everyone votes. Just to get back to that issue, it sounds like you've spent a lot of money improving the drainage in your property. Based on the amount of money you said you spent, putting a barrier around the coop would be fairly modest in comparison.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I heard Amy say about 17. That was just to grade the yard. I mean, there was more invested. So we've got a big investment here. I mean, basically, when we bought this place, a year after that, all of a sudden it just was flooded and became a swamp, and we couldn't even utilize our backyard. Now, I mean, I know she did the walkthrough. I haven't cut the grass yet. That's on tomorrow's list. I work a half day, but you know, we make it pretty much like a park as much as we can. You know, so we really are here to make sure long term that, you know, we have a pristine yard, and that's why we spent the money. You know, it helps everyone. It helps the neighbor's property value. It helps our property value, and it just makes our life better.
Oh, there's Marina.
Yeah, I'm back. And I
Okay.
have no idea what happened there. I wasn't even, it just went on. So, but I do think that, you know, the birds need to be able to poke their heads out of the run and get at the grasshoppers or lightning bugs. Tragically, they like those. But you know, they need to be able to have access. And if you take the bottom foot out, that doesn't allow them to have the things that they like to eat naturally. So
Sure.
I think that as long as it's not creating a problem for the neighbor, then don't put the 2x4s in. Or 2x6s, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we'll do whatever is recommended. That's, you know, I know we're going to have to do a physical walkthrough, which is great. I think you'll see the work that my wife has put into this, and understand, you know, the chickens are going to have a good life and be taken care of, and we'll do whatever recommendations you folks make.
All right. So the motion. Go ahead. Was there someone else? All right. The motion was to recommend the village administrator approve the license as applied, and I believe we had a first and a second.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then let's take a roll call, please.
Certainly. Member Sorensen,
Yes.
Member Bishop,
Yes.
Member Twishel,
yes.
Co-Chair Renner,
Yes.
and Co-Chair Purrier.
Yes.
Carries. So Amy, I will here after tonight, probably tomorrow, I'll set up a time with you to pop on by, just double check a couple of those things on the permit, and then you'll have your application, will be good to go, okay?
And Amy,
Thank you.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to encourage you to have your neighbor that is not compliant go through the process. It's not that onerous, and it just
Okay.
helps with understanding if there is an outbreak, what we do about it, and so on and so forth. I mean,
Okay,
now that we're in pandemic times, probably.
right. And nobody has gotten sick from other people's chickens, right? I mean,
Well, right, but you do need to be careful about wearing your shoes into the house.
oh, yes.
And,
Yeah, that's what my husband's farming family told me. Wash your hands anytime you go in that chicken coop. So we do, we scrub down. And the shoes stay outside because I don't like chicken poop in the house. So,
So,
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank
All right.
you.
Well, thank
Bye.
you everyone for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Joe.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Bye.
All right. You have a good evening. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the village staff report.
Certainly. So just a brief report tonight. So first, just an update. As you know, it's been a little while since this group has met. Some capital projects in this group's world were in the 2020-2021 budget. Many have been delayed, unfortunately, due to revenue shortfalls from COVID-19. So in particular, a few of interest. The Route 176 landscape design is still underway. That project was partway through, and we're continuing to finish those drawings with Tesco when they're available. We'll make sure to send you a copy. When those are done, the money to go and start doing removal and construction work, that would be pending some changes. Similarly, with downtown bicycle racks, that project was funded in the last fiscal year budget, but is in suspense along with many others. I would also note there's a pedestrian beacon installation up at the elementary school that's in the same boat as well. So I'm not sure we had talked about that one with this group, but since Bike Ped is within your world, I wanted to note that as well. Again, overall, barring a once in a century catastrophe, those are and I think will still in the future be accomplishments. During this time, we've been working with some pretty exciting opportunities coming through as far as community solar, as far as potentially some early discussions, some other Chicagoland communities that are looking at electrical aggregation again and how to get more renewable energy credits from existing loads and existing prices. A couple other things like that going on that I think are pretty neat, and that as they continue to develop slower again due to COVID-19, we'll make sure to keep you in the loop. Finally, I do want to make a brief introduction, or at least perhaps I'll ask her to introduce herself. Miss Ali Caskey is on the line with us. She's our undergraduate intern for a while, and she's studying sustainable planning, or I guess you can give us a better description, Ali, down at Lake Forest College.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and hi, Marina. She
Hi,
was
Allie.
yes,
Just
she
like
was my home for dinner host. Yes. So I've had the pleasure of having dinner with Marina a couple times throughout my time at the college. So I am a senior at Lake Forest College. I'm double majoring in economics and urban development. I'm on the college's sustainability council, so I expressed interest to Glenn as far as sitting in on these meetings and just kind of hearing what Lake Bluff has going on. But I look forward to working with you, and it's nice to see you again, Marina.
It's nice to see you. I just literally sent Glenn a text going, who's Ali Caskey? Because I'm like, this name is not related to what I was doing today. So,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
maybe I didn't see that in the minutes, but I did. Or not the minutes, the packet. So I'm thrilled.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that would conclude my report.
Glenn, with regards to biking and pedestrian paths and funding, what happened to the replacement of the bridge over
That
by the train
project
station?
I believe that project will proceed. So again, there was some money from Lake County in there that won't wait, and that project was, I think, approaching bidding when this started. So we're still proceeding with that, which is a good item.
Is
And
that,
the light. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Brian and Glenn, is that the bridge that goes over 176 on the bike path? The sort of caged in one?
That's correct.
Okay.
It will no longer be quite caged in. It will still have a pretty substantial railing on it, but you'll be open in one direction.
And a little bit more room for two people to be on it at once.
Yeah, that'll help.
That will really help.
There are There are some plans we shared with the Architectural Board of Review. At one time, we were looking at putting some signage on that bridge, and we've gone a different direction with that, but I will make a note here to share that if anyone's interested.
And at one point, we were going to do some lighting upgrades or additions to the bike path. I remember reviewing some plans at one point. Did that get put on hold?
I do not recall off the top of my head. Most likely yes, but I would have to confirm that and get back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
So Glenn, when you were saying the upgrades for the bike racks were delayed, is that something you anticipate still happening this fiscal year or something that would be pushed off to the next year?
Yeah, so right now, public knowledge, right, the village's revenue's down about 27, 29% from COVID-19 in the sales tax category, which is a pretty substantial shortfall. I would think that that picture would need to change for many of those projects to happen in this fiscal year. But of course, we're along for the ride, same as the whole wide world is.
Yeah, I think the board expressed their support for it. It's just a financial turnaround issue.
Got it. Thank you.
And will we be meeting like this going forward? What are you anticipating?
Sure. So the amendments to the Open Meetings Act lay out essentially a three-tier circumstance. So outside times of emergency, the normal rules still apply. During a time of emergency such as this, where it is impractical for us to meet in person, we can conduct meetings like this as long as one person, either one of you as members of the public body or myself or your legal counsel is physically present at your ordinary meeting place. That's why I'm here in the boardroom. The third is if things were to get dire, you could, if the governor were to order it, you could meet entirely virtually. There is the option for people to meet here if they like. I would say that's not particularly encouraged. I would expect indefinitely that we'll probably conduct meetings in the manner we're doing tonight.
Super.
And then where are we for bringing a high school student to join us? Are we going to pursue that for this school year?
Yeah, so that would be the village president's prerogative there. I will make a note to check in with her on that.
Great. It'd be nice to have Allie mentor some high school person also.
Yes. All right. Next up is a members report. Any of the members want to share any news or interesting observations?
I guess the only observation is the amount of people that are walking in our community. It's amazing. So
Yes.
there's a positive.
Yes. We love all the paths that the village has invested in, the sidewalks. It's been very nice. Co-chairs report. I just want to mention that I was asked to give my comments. Target parking lot lighting is being upgraded to LED lighting. This is a whole scale upgrade, not the poles themselves, but the heads. I've done an initial review and given my comments in terms of the type of fixture and added some questions. The international or the Illinois adoption of the energy codes has new, you might remember from our seminar with Katie, has some new requirements for lighting controls in terms of reductions after hours and at nighttime. Those were some of my comments. I did not see sufficient lighting controls outlined in the new package. I recommended that they lower the temperature of the fixtures from 4,000 or 5,000 K, which is daylight, to 3000K, which is more of a neutral or slightly warmer light color temperature. We'll see, but those are obviously up to the Architectural Board of Review and the Village Board. Those are just my comments. But seeing as how the Target store had originally targeted to be a LEED facility, and I think the lighting is not too bad there overall. Hopefully this will improve things.
Right.
If there's no other comments, could we get a motion to adjourn before the school board starts here?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes, Member Sorensen,
Yes.
Member Bishop,
Yes.
Member Twitchell,
Yes.
Co-Chair Renner,
Yes.
and Co-Chair Purrier.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.